Welcome back, everyone. We have a fun little news snippet here. Former Hobbit Sean Astin predicted Lord of the Rings reboot timing and fully expects amazing Amazon series. Um, Interesting way to introduce Sean Astin in the title of this thing, I guess. Uh, yeah, what do you think? It's like, you know, Sean Astin, he was a part of it. He kind of understood as he was going through the process of how kind of important the movies, the original trilogies were going to be, and that obviously there's going to be at some point someone's going to say, "Hey, let's
Someone it's too good not to for them to do it again.
yeah,
Yeah.
or at least expand upon it."
Yeah.
And we saw that with Jackson's the Hobbit trilogy, and
Yeah.
now we're seeing it with all these new projects coming out from animated movies to the live action Amazon TV show. But he actually does have a really good point here in the first paragraph of this article about a new batch of fans. This is going to be their first journey in Middle Earth because not everyone has seen the original trilogy, especially people who are not born at the time. They may not have
Yeah.
gone back.
You'll get people who never don't even know what Lord of the Rings is.
Exactly, and that's something I think I take for granted. I don't know about you, but I just assume that it's a classic movie and everyone's seen it. And so I don't know, if when I meet someone who hasn't, I immediately want to show them the movies.
And then you're watching their reactions, not
Yeah, you're
just the
watching the
movie.
reaction, you're pausing it, you're telling them that this is where he broke his toe.
That is true.
And then you're pausing and pointing out that's the director right there. He loves to
Uh-huh.
play those characters, eating random carrots and stuff. um, and then you're pausing it and talking about parts of the books or other things. So like you're it's a whole experience. And I think a lot of people who watch who are huge fans of the Lord of the Rings, they have a similar process when rewatching, especially when it's just you and I, where we can kind of talk about stuff as it's happening because we can kind of recite a lot of it from memory.
Mhm.
So you can kind of like make a little bit more jokes and kind of like dive into some things and be like, hey, that's kind of a weird thing right there, isn't it? And it's just I think it's interesting that there are going to be a huge new group of people coming in that haven't seen the original trilogy, haven't seen the Hobbit trilogy, and they're going to be potentially watching this and then going back to see where it all kind of originates from. And it'll be interesting to see how people who don't have the information that's given to you in those movies, how they understand what's happening in these other projects. And I think now it is true that Sean Astin did predict this, but again, I think he was there, he was a part of it, and he understood that this stuff is going to be amazing. And like you said, who is not, like, down the road, someone's definitely going to want to remake it, whether or not they get the rights to do it. That's the that's the big question. Um, but yeah, I think
Well, here's his quote. They asked, "How can you be so sure? Because I have that foresight? No, because I know in a generation people will want to experience what they love again." So it's a
mhm,
generation. He's about a generation.
exactly. And that's spot on. I mean, yeah, like you've got people like us who saw it when we were not quite teenagers yet, maybe
Hmm.
just into it, and then we're now grown up, and we know tons of people having kids of their own, and they're going to be showing it to them, just sort of like how our parents would have shown us, Star Wars, Indiana Jones,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. Um,
True.
and so with Star Wars, we had a new set of movies, and then we also had the original trilogy that we could go back and watch. And and
That's a good analog, yeah.
yeah. Um, and I think it's important to point out that Sean Astin also does say that the classics will remain. Like even if you were to remake them, like there are a lot of movies that have been remade over the years, but you can always
Mhm.
go back and watch the original. And some people often prefer the originals to the remakes. And so even if they were to remake the Lord of the Rings, I don't think we're ready for that just yet, like the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Um, but even if they were to remake it, it doesn't necessarily impact the original trilogy. Only if they start changing things massively and making it a completely different story, then it kind of is like, okay, what's going on? But um, you always have the originals to go back to, and I think the fans of this universe, we all tend to have a very similar mindset into what's good about the Lord of the Rings, and so the collective of the fans is going to kind of dictate where the information and where people get information from about the the different things going on in the world of the Middle Earth. But you look at other kind of projects where it's very all over the place. There's some fans like one thing, some like another, and it's very hard for new people to come in and understand just how to kind of navigate everything. Where I think with Lord of the Rings and stuff, I think it's very easy for new people to kind of come in and be introduced to all the different things happening and have a nice sort of marker to say, hey, go here first. This is what you need to know, and then if you want more, you can go to these sources. Then you can get really deep into it, um, and all that stuff. Like you don't need to, but like it helps fans get into it, and I think that's also a big part of Lord of the Rings. That even with these new projects, with the Hobbit trilogy, and with all these new projects, there is still a nice group of fans that are gonna helpfully point people to the right starting points for different information. But you're gonna come across some people who are also very gatekeepy kind of. You have to have read everything in Tolkien's you know everything he ever wrote,
Hmm.
and find all these like stories that he wrote that later became the Hobbit, which later became that like there is going to be those people, but I think for the most part, the group of fans for Lord of the Rings is pretty welcoming, at least from my experience.
Going for everyone who's read everything, it's a pretty narrow audience.
Exactly. And I mean, those are going to be the people that don't like the movies anyway because they don't have
Have
every
Tom Bombadil.
well not just not just that, but yeah, like that kind of stuff where they think that without having everything scene for scene, it's a complete wreck and they don't want it. But yeah, I think I'm actually excited about this new projects coming out, and I think it is good to bring in a new group of fans, um, and not get them really confused with a bunch of stuff. I think it's going to be really helpful for them to see these new movies, which aren't, or this new movie and new TV show, which aren't direct remakes. And so they're going to be able to see that stuff and then go back and watch the original and sort of get more information, more background on what they're watching in the TV show and the new animated movie. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm excited for it, and I kind of agree here with Sean Astin. I think he's spot on, and he understands the business of it too. That this is a big intellectual property thing that people really enjoy, and you know if they can get their hands on it, they're gonna want to make more of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think that just about does it. Any last tidbits you want to talk about with Sean
Nope.
Astin? All
Just
right,
he's got a nice smile.
he
That's
does, he does, and I do like the memes where it's like people referencing Sean Astin in other movies, and then someone comes in and is like, "Hey, he didn't basically carry the ring to Mordor for you to mention
Remember
him."
it
And
was Doug from 51st Dates.
yeah,
Or no, or Doug from whatever. The
from
Stranger
Stranger
the Stranger
Things.
Things. He's Bob from Bob and Doug. I don't know which one's which anymore.
I mean, but he is Samwise Gamgee. That is where you know him from. I don't care if he was in the Goonies. He was Samwise Gamgee. All right, that's it for this one. If you guys have any things you'd like to add, please let us know in the comments down below. Let us know your thoughts. Are you in agreement with Sean Astin here? And do you think that that the Amazon series is going to be a great way for new fans to kind of get involved in the world of Middle Earth and all things that are Tolkien? See you guys next time.